Comedy Mushroom Cole Podcast. Hi, fam. How we doing? Ow, motherfucker. Alright, well, we just ruined it again. At Ray Roberts Comedy on all the social medias, especially the YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you don't need to be told because you know where to find it. But if you're listening on the audio, and thank you for coming back, whoever's. Here's the weird thing. I made fun of like Taylor Swift fans a couple episodes ago, and then all of a sudden my numbers cut in half. So either I made half of the people mad, or there's some sort of fuckery with the numbers going on. And instead of fighting my numbers, Taylor Swift, maybe you should fight for democracy. But RayRobertsComedy.com, at RayRobertsComedy on all of the social media. But I already said that. YouTube, most important. I'm doing cool things on YouTube Shorts now. We've taken all of the... I'm not putting reels or clips up on Instagram anymore. Because fuck Meta. And it's not like Google or YouTube is much better, but like they seem to compensate people for their time better. They don't bury things as much. And you know, I need to like build on my YouTube anyways. So if you want to see videos of mine, specifically the night, it's not every night, but like show recaps or like open mic recaps that I do when I go out. So those are usually, I don't know, you can see that like 4 or 5 times a week, maybe more, who knows. I'm not gonna like promise an exact amount because that's how we screw ourselves a little bit, but yeah, those are fun. I mean, they're less than 2 minutes, so it's perfect for your short-ass attention spans. So, Ray Roberts Comedy on YouTube. Like and subscribe. The podcast is there as well, so you can click that like little ka-ding bell thing, and like you'll get notified when a new thing of mine comes out. So check that out because I don't know, Instagram's not going to be where I put my focus now. Obviously, you need it. Like you need the Meta platforms because they run the world, and that's where everybody communicates, and that's how you find out about gigs and shit. And that's where like people look for you first. Anyways, but we're trying to work around that. More on that later. But we do have some cool shows coming up. Tonight, the Funny Ratio at Surge Billiards, because it is Pi Day, so we want to make sure that we all know that that's happening. But I don't know if anybody's going to be able to make it out there tonight, because, you know, it's tonight, and if you left now, like when I'm recording, the show's at 7:30, so I mean, if you were coming from Ohio, I don't think that you would be able to make it in time. Maybe the western side of the state, or if you drove really fast and went directly to it. But if you're anywhere within like a couple hours of it, you should come to the show. The tickets are online somewhere. Fucking Google it, I guess. Next Friday, Ethnology Distillation. The Friday after that, there's a Was That Good For You? If you're in Chicago, go to that. That's selling really well. So you'll want to get tickets if you want to go to that. Devin probably will let you buy more tickets because he wants 1,000 people in that tiny ass basement. So that's the show that I was like, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm going to be out of town because I'll be in Louisville. So if you want to bully him into a show that's probably going to be sold out and going into it, you probably could just show up and be like, hey, here's some money. Or buy tickets ahead of time so they can be prepared. That would be nice. Louisville Comedy Club. That I will be in Louisville the 28th and 29th. Good friend of the show. I don't think he's ever been on the show. Good friend of mine, Dan Brown, is going to be there headlining a different club. So I mean, we'll see if they let us talk while we're in town. Because that's something that like cities that like have multiple clubs, but like they're not big enough to like sustain multiple clubs. Now Louisville's not one, so I don't want to be like talking about Louisville, but there's other ones that I work, like Fort Wayne has multiple comedy clubs and stuff like that, and it's like I love Fort Wayne. I don't think it needs multiple comedy clubs. Like, yes, is there enough for everybody out there? I guess, sure. And you always like people having more opportunities, but like it's almost like you'd rather have not gatekeeping where you would like want it to be tougher to get into those shows, because like then you'll have something like Milwaukee where it's like a lot of the same people getting booked, a lot of the same places, because like one or two conglomerates run the city and then just like book the same people because I don't know, they're afraid of running good shows sometimes. And I'm not talking about anybody in specific, so if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, it's probably not you, because I like working your shows, especially if you're Brandon. No, but I wasn't talking about. Well, oh yeah, but like I don't know. There's like two different clubs. Like one's called like the Caravan or some shit. Then there's like Planet of the Tapes. That's in Louisville as well. But I'm working Louisville Comedy Club. So come out to that. And if you wanted to buy merch, I'm literally flying to Alaska the next day. Like there's a 7 and like a 10:30 show or some shit like that, or 7 and 9:30. So as soon as like merch line's done and I get paid, I'm gonna have to snag my check and drive home because I leave for Alaska. I think like at 11 in the morning on Sunday. So I'll like be driving home for like 5.5 hours and then maybe get an hour of sleep. But then we're in Michigan in April. My birthday's in April. Was that good for you? Duluth, Minnesota, Comedy Clubhouse. We got shit. We're cooking. We got things working here. All right, we've wasted 6.5 minutes. Let's get down to business. It's like I like going through with the plan, but like I also understand that it's a waste of time when I swear 5 seconds into the fucking podcast anyway. So like I understand like maybe I should like pre-record my dates at the beginning of the month and be like, you know how like professional podcasts do it, and they'll be like, fucking Chicago, I'll be in your town. I don't know, that was like a very bad Dan Soder impression, because he does it very well. He'll be like, Chicago, coming to your town, May 17th. And I wish I was having to sell fucking tickets to shows 2 months from now. But we're trying to hawk tickets to the shows that are tonight and a week from now. But I don't know, find like your local comedy people, because I'm trying to put something together in Northwest Ohio. If you're in Northwest Ohio and know of a venue that can run a comedy show, let me know. Because I've reached out to the guy who runs shows there multiple times and have had zero help any of the times that I've reached out. And I like the guy, just not very helpful when it comes to things that aren't his. So like, whatever. But I'm trying to put something together in Northwest Ohio, and it's like, for fuck's sake, like, can we just get a place? But no, I'm undecided on how I want to do this podcast, because today's like a big, I guess like 2 days ago or yesterday, it was 5 years since COVID was, like, made a national emergency or whatever the fuck, or like pointed out as a pandemic in the United States. So I don't know if I want to do, looking back at my 5 years of COVID, yeah, do you know what, we'll do like a quick rundown preview, and see how many of these we actually hit. Today on the Comedy and Mushroom Cult podcast, 5 years of COVID. Let's look back and see how it's affected our lives. Tracking numbers, are they important if they're never correct? Alaska volcano, great time to be going to Alaska. And then in our Hitler Watch section, canceling school lunches, deporting protesters, trying to end birthright citizenship, and maybe the judicial system coming in clutch for us. So yeah, we'll just do the rundown as I wrote it. I wrote it for this reason, for some reason, and we'll split things up. But it's 5 years, and I looked through I saw that it was 5 years of COVID the other day, when like everyone was posting about it, and it was a weird day, because I think it was like the day that Rudy Gobert tested positive, and they like, of course it was Rudy Gobert, because he did that shit where like they went on the loudspeaker at the NBA game and was like, hey, a player tested positive, get the fuck out of here. Very, very weird. And then I think that might have been that same night where we were watching The Masked Singer, and Sarah Palin had just finished doing Baby Got Back, dressed as a Care Bear or something like that. Like dressed as a bear in like a furry outfit, and had just got done singing Baby Got Back on national television, and then cut to Donald J. Trump and his big stupid orange face. And like this is 2020 Trump. So like now he's kind of like given up on the tanner a little bit. Like it seems like they got like more of a bronze than an orange. Either that or like they finally figured out how lighting works after 50 years in the public eye. But like his big stupid orange face was on TV and just like, hey guys, don't breathe so much, I guess. But I think that was the 12th. But like Rudy Gobert, like when they were like, hey, what do you think about COVID? And he like went and like touched all the microphones. Like he like went and tapped every single one of them. And then of course he like tested positive the next day, and people were just roasting him. But no, I remember because it popped up in my. That's what Facebook's good for. And I tried to do a bit on this a while back, and it pops in every once in a while, and I've seen other people try to do it, so it wasn't like a big thing I was really trying to get into. Again, because once something's in the zeitgeist, you're like, okay, am I writing this because I saw somebody do it, and I was like, oh, I could do that premise better, or like, it was definitely on my mind, and then I saw it, and I was like, okay, I gotta flesh it out. Just because like if that's what's out there, mine's definitely better than that. Let me work on it more. And definitely like different jokes, but just like about the same ish thing. But like the thing that Facebook's great for is like keeping memories. And like I did like a big like Facebook and Instagram purge at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year, where I like deleted a bunch of shit. The little joke I was saying was like deleting pictures and statuses off of Facebook is like the only way that you can kill yourself these days and it not actually end your life, because like now when I look back at memories, they're like, hey, we had to import these from Instagram because you deleted all of them. But 5 years ago tonight was the last show I did before the lockdown. And people were kind of weird about us doing a show that night because they had just said that COVID was a thing like 2 days before, and like I think the show was sold out. It was somewhere in PA, Western Pennsylvania, in like some weird restaurant. I want to say it was like an Italian restaurant, because like they had our green room, quote unquote, in like a seating lobby area, and it had like Roman pillars and like a picturesque background on like you know how like Italian restaurants always try to do that like old world shit where they're like, hey, we came here from Italy and we make the pizza even though we are in Hanover, Pennsylvania. You know, like they're just two white people who happen to have like an I at the end of their name and just like super lean into being, we're from Italia, everybody here is a Roma, you know, like Roma Italia. Like they just like super lean into it when they're just boring white people who like started like a spaghetti stand. So they had that, and then like in this back room they had like an event room. That's where the show was, and it was like packed to the gills. Like it was full. And it was either like people had already bought tickets, or like they knew that COVID was about to happen and like shit was gonna get shut down. So they just like let it, like they were like, fuck it, this might be the last one, and they picked a good one. Because I remember it was me, farts. I was on the show, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it. Chris Harvey was the one who put it together. I want to say Phil Strickland, shout out Phil Strickland and the people at PE Presents or whatever he does, or PS Presents, I think that's the name of his business. I tried to like hit him up and like be part of it, and he's like, here, send in this and that, and I'm like, just fucking book me and pay me. Why are we making this difficult? Like, you're trying to businessman your way into this. But I got like a bunch of like really good gigs out of it. I mean, not really good is definitely, that's a stretch. But I got some decently paying gigs in Pennsylvania from him. Maybe he put this. No, it was definitely Chris. And so some lady was there, and like just like the lineup was one of those. Maybe Bill Stone was there. It was like one of those like up and down lineups where like, cause like these people were real new, and this was 5 years ago. So like by no means am I talking shit about them now. I would clearly talk shit about them if this was about now anyways, but I want you to know that I'm not talking. But like, it was like a real Rocky lineup, and I mean, I'm way better. It was 5 fucking years ago. I'm way better now than I was then, and so like, and I mean, I was one of the better ones on the show because it is what it is. But then like Chris Harvey goes up there and tears it down. So it was like one of those like up and down shows. Maybe I Am Chad was there. Like, I don't know. Maybe I think he's just going by Chad now. He only does fucking Chris Kettler rooms because I don't know. People expect him to show up on time to things. But I don't know why I think he's funny. He's catching strays. Just the last time I saw him, he showed up late to the comedy festival. The Rubber City Comedy Festival, and he's like, I thought we just like showed up whenever. I thought that's what a comedy festival was. And it's like, in what world? Which is just a funny thing. But no, so like the room was packed, and everybody's a little swirly because like it's the end of the world coming up. It's also, I feel like Easter was coming up early that year. And I mean, St. Patrick's Day's coming, so like people were drinking. I was fresh-ish to being sober, so I was doing a lot of sober stuff. I still talk about my sobriety, but like I was doing a lot of sober stuff then. But like the entire audience was just like old people, and then like one table of like somebody normal aged. And so like Chris Harvey came up to everybody before the show and was like, and he could have probably just had a conversation with me because like obviously it's gonna be me who does it, not like hey, shout out me by the way. You can definitely tell that my sinus bullshit's almost done, just because it's warm. It's like 73 degrees out today, and it's gonna be cooler again tomorrow. But so like everything's gonna be fucked anyways. But no, like you can hear it. Like my sinuses aren't super fucking stuffy anymore. But no, he like came up to us and was like, "Hey guys, this COVID thing is like a real issue. We want people to have fun and not really like this is one of those times in history." And like this was when like nobody was really taking it that seriously. Like there were the people who were taking it seriously because like at that point it was like everybody was looking for a way to get off of work, which is sure. Like I was all in on it. I didn't do a good job of getting off of work, but I like you could have. And like I think that was like the big thing, and people were like, "Oh, you gotta super worry about old people and blah blah blah." So like he was just like, "Let's maybe not bring it up. Like if we brought it up, not at all." That would be ideal because we're smashed in this room. Because that was like, it was supposed to be, like, that's when they were floating out. Like, hey, you guys should be 6 feet apart. That was when we weren't supposed to be wearing face coverings. We were not supposed to have masks because those were for medical professionals and they needed to be defended. So were the masks defending people or were you defending other people from masks? But the most important thing is we were told not to wear them for a long time. Trust me, I remember. It was the only thing going on. But, and like, I understand that it's like very convenient and very like easy to just be like, oh, like everybody followed the rules pretty much. There were like 17 knuckleheads that really didn't. And like going after fucking, Wine with DeWine. There was Fauci. Who was the lady? The lady. She was a doctor. Ooh, I can feel it. It's real close. Whatever, but she ripped. She did a great job. She was like she did a good job of explaining things. But they like protested her house and all that shit. Cause like they were like saying that they were gonna close down the highways and like all of this crazy shit. And like I remember, cause like after that, cause I worked at a RV sales place. I worked in the service department. Shout out Four Seasons RV in Streetsboro, Ohio. They probably don't like me because I just like quit and left. I have a history of doing that. Well, I put my 2 weeks in. I put in like a month's notice. That's when I knew we were moving to to Milwaukee. This is like later in the summer. Because like I worked at this place all the way through COVID until I moved because I had just quit. I worked at a scrap yard buying commercial scrap, and they were talking about having to do layoffs because the scrap market, they sell everything to China, and China was shut down 6 months before us because of this. because apparently it takes 6 months for diseases to spread across the world. But they were talking about doing layoffs. So, and I was the newest hire by a long shot. So what I did is I found another job and quit that one. And then since I worked at an RV dealership, a lot of nurses and first responders and doctors and other medical professionals, like the people who were like taking aid to people, nursing home people, CTNAs, activities directors. I don't want to forget anybody because everybody needs to be represented. All the people that you were banging pots and pans for, like it was going to help somebody, they stayed in RVs outside of their house, so not to spread it into their house. Very smart. So we were deemed essential because in Ohio we had like essential businesses and like businesses were fighting to be essential. But I had to like get a letter printed out. Like they sent a letter to us like stating why I was driving, where I was going, because they were like pulling people over to be like, yo, you're not supposed to be like out of your house really right now. But like then the police just didn't pull it. Like they made it that unless it was like an emergency or you were like doing something real crazy, the police weren't supposed to pull you over. Which not the worst. Maybe that's what we need to do is go back to like COVID cop rules. Not where they can like lean on people's necks and for like a minute and a half and kill them, or like 7 minutes or whatever the fuck it was. Not those rules where like you can just kill black people with impunity. I think those rules have always been in 12-13, or 13-12. ABAC, all bats are cab. All bads are cops. But it's 13-12. Fucking idiot. But yeah, like I had to have a letter in my car. Like if for some reason I got pulled over to be like, here, I'm going to work and I work at an essential place. And people still had the fucking gall to be mean. Cause like they weren't going to open up campsites for people to go to, because they didn't want people like being around each other outside. Like now that before they knew this. So like there was 1 week where it was like super slammed because they were like, actually they're gonna shut these down, so we need to like get our campers in here, and then if we like go there, they can't stop us from going there. Like they just won't let us move them in, or like we can't like mobilely put campers in there. So like people were like rushing to do it and just being super dickheads. And it's like, hey guys, you understand that the world is shut down for us too. Like we're one of the only businesses open in this entire city, and like you're being an asshole about it. So it was just like a weird time. It's been 5 years already. That seems like last week. Like where does 5 years go? I have a hard time with it being March this year already. Because January and February usually last so long, and I don't know if it's just because I'm kind of on my own schedule right now, and just everything's kind of like, all right, when's the next show? When's the next mic? When's this? And I mean, I'm living in the moment, and I'm like I'm concentrating on, as I'm like staring at my, hands. But like I'm living in the present moment and remembering to do that, because that's the only way we can survive these days, is like, hey, just be here, do what you can right now. But like a lot of it's like, all right, next show's in fucking 3 weeks, next show's in 2 days, next showcase is tonight, like, so it's stuff like that where like things are like moving. But 5 years, man, that is going in a blink of an eye. Just turned 30 when this like was just about to turn 30, had just quit drinking. It was crazy times. It was like a very, maybe we'll try to remember that and kind of do like a check-in of each week of where we were at that point in COVID. Let me make a note of that. Thanks for your help on that one, guys. This week in COVID, 5 years later. But that's where we were at with COVID. Then literally like the next day, everything shut down. It was literally the next day. They shut it down, and it was like, hey, everything needs to be done by noon. And then it was like St. Patrick's Day, where I know that they did, I guess in Wisconsin, because when I moved here, I worked at a bar backing for a little bit. I'm gonna tell you, don't work at a bar if you're sober. I understand that like you're not supposed to drink on the job, But like people will try to buy you drinks. I wasn't like a cute bartender, so like nobody really, and I worked there like 3 times. Nobody tried to buy me drinks really, but like people will like try to buy bartenders drinks. Being around drunk people all day just isn't fun. And especially when like your boss is a fucking asshole. Like part of like you get like a shift drink after work, and I would just be like, all right, can I have like a Diet Coke, and then I'm just gonna take this to go. And they're like, well, the point is to sit and hang. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't drink, and I've been at a bar for fucking 10 hours today. Can we not? Like, you know, the one thing that I like doing more than like anything else, it's like comedy than being hammered in a shitty bar yelling at people. Come on. Yeah, why would I? What? Fuck me for wanting to leave that situation that I'm addicted to. But yeah, they said because St. Patrick's Day is Monday. Yes. I think they're dyeing the river green. Ooh, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. We'll have to go check that out. First time in Chicago we went a couple of years ago. Stay on focus. But they like shut down. They said everybody could go out for St. Patrick's Day, and then they shut down at like noon on St. Patrick's Day, or they shut down on today or tomorrow, and then like the judges ordered that the shutdown was like not constitutional in the state, and then like reopened at noon on St. Patrick's Day, and then they shut it back down again because they did it the legal way. So it was a weird time. It was so that might be fun looking back at that. Now that we're 5 years removed, I understand that COVID's like still a thing. I've had COVID. Shit, it's been 5 years, so probably 10 times. I've got it at least once at this. Knocking on all the wood. Sorry, boys. The cats just woke up a little bit. They hate it when people come here, which is going to be real bad news while we're in Alaska. Yikes. So I forget what I was saying. Oh, but like, I know that's a real thing still, and like I've had it a shit ton of times, but like this is like the first year I haven't really had it. Bless me. Thank you if you blessed me bless me through the phone. I wish I had that number memorized still. How stupid. Speaking of 5 years ago, though, we're bringing back the guest spot. If you liked the guest spot before, great. If you didn't know what the guest spot was, I'll inform you of that real quick. But we're changing it up a little bit. Like the guest spot before, we made it like, if you know the Hard Times or the Onion. The Onion's like the super famous one. Hard Times, I think, is owned by the Onion now. And like they just like basically do the Onion for like rock music or punk rock or pop punk and that kind of stuff. So it'll just be like local teen gets roundhouse kicked in the face and all of a sudden speaks Chinese, like, and then becomes like the lead singer of some like Chinese punk band, right? Like something like that. Or like the Onion, when like every time like a school shooting happens, it's like the bear attacks happened again. There's no way to stop these. It says country that only gets attacked by bears, or only a country that this happens in regularly. That kind of stuff. So we wanted to do it. Me and my buddy Dylan, who's been on the podcast for sure. Shout out Dylan Musk. But we made a comedy-based one called The Guest Spot. Obviously, the idea was to get bought by the Onion once we got so popular. It actually got like decently. There was like some good movement. Then of course the world shut down. But we did a bunch of satire on that, and there's going to be an aspect to that. So like. If you enjoyed writing for The Guest Spot last time, and you enjoyed reading it, there's going to be a satire part where you can do satire. But my idea is to make it like a one-stop shop for underrepresented comedians that like the algorithms aren't really made for. So for like me, if we're gonna be like selfishly, I want to make my own platform, and I want to use other people to help spread it as well. That's kind of the idea. Sorry that's kind of how business works, is like you come up with an idea and you sell other people on it and you use them for your own gain. But Honestly, like I think it'll be a good thing. Where like I want to set up having like TGS exclusive artists and shit like that, where like you get their freshest clips on the guest spot. And how we're gonna do it, I don't know exactly yet. I'm still working on that. But if you are interested in that, hit me up. Interested in following it, being part of it. I'm still kind of working out like the logistics of how I'm gonna make it happen and how I'm gonna put the site together. The website's going to change. It'll still be the guest spot, but it was the guestspot.net because somebody owned .com when we got it, and now like we don't know if we still somehow own the guestspot.net. Like I don't know if like Dylan's still paying for it on accident or something, but like that's not available either. So I think somebody saw that had like some traction. So we're doing the guestspot.org. So I guess you could just do that and not be a nonprofit. I'm assuming this won't make any money for like a long, long while. I'd be happy if like somebody came in and was like, hey, this is a great idea, let's help you with it. So like if you know how to build a website, I can do Squarespace myself. I just don't want to like dump a bunch of cash and time into this quite yet. So I might run it as like an online newsletter for a hot second. I'm still trying to figure it out. So if you want to be part of that in any way, I'm going to like work on it this weekend. I've had this show tonight. I had something else yesterday that I'll get to in a minute. So like we wanted to, the voices in my head, wanted to get this up and running. So hit me up, email rayupdates4@gmail, I think is like my comedy one. This won't be like my normal one, like my normal email list where I just like inundate you with like some random thing off the top of my head. But you can join that email list as well. You can sign up for that on my website, rayrobertscomedy.com. But if you want to be part of TGS, hit me up. I'm going to do like a mass email. I'm opening it up to ideas. I'm open to anything. If you can make a website that can like feature videos and shit like that, I have like a sketch of how I want it to look. So we'll do that. But I think it's gonna be really cool. And we'll see how long I'm obsessed with it. Cause like this is what I want, is I need like I come up with an idea. This is really like the whole big point of like trying to get successful and get money, is like eventually, I think this is kind of probably how Elon Musk works, but I'm 99.9% sure I'll never become a Nazi. We're not gonna say 100% because like there's nothing sure except for Jesus' love. But I don't know why, I just have to. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I like saw myself going down the thing, and I was like, of course Ray's gonna say this. I'm having like a real weird. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. I woke up, had to piss, couldn't get back to sleep. I didn't even take my Adderall until like 11 because I was like, no, we're gonna go back to sleep, and I don't want to try to nap through Adderall. And then 11 o'clock came around, and I was like, and it's one. Just so you know, it's 1:30 currently, Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Time. Since daylight savings happened, that's not even a topic that it should be. God, who's running this fucking thing? But no, like that's it. Like I want to get rich enough to be like, hey, here's my idea. This is what I want it to look like. Make it happen. Just let me know when it's ready. I want to give it the thumbs up. Like shit like that. I just want a team where I can do that. So like that way I can like just concentrate on like, I don't know, just fucking what I do now. Just like making quips and getting high at night. I think that's the lifestyle. Jesus Christ, 34 minutes into this already. Yeah, we can do this real quick. But yeah, so like the open mic updates that I'm doing on my YouTube. Quick drink. I got green drink back, but it's not a green drink day. Well, it's later than green drink time. So it's clear drink, which is just a little bit of electrolytes at this point. So what I did, so you have to put a scoop of the electrolytes in. It's too sugary if you just like do a whole scoop. So I'll drink like half of it, and then I'll put more water in it. And then I'll like drink half of that and I'll put more water in it. So like I have like 3 full mason jars of flavored water instead of just like one that's over flavored. Life hacks. But no, so last night were the vouch auditions for. There's a site called the Comedy Gazelle in Chicago. What they do is they'll like take over an open mic. You'll do 3 minutes and audition. It's a cool idea because then you're auditioning for a show at the Laugh Factory, and then at the Laugh Factory there'll be like judges and bookers from, not judges because you're not like winning anything. There'll be bookers. I mean, you're winning bookings, but like there'll be bookers from the spots. Like this month is Riddles, the Laugh Factory, the Den Theater, I think Red Room. Like so, like a bunch of the spots in the city. So like this is a good one to get on the showcase for. So I went and did that. Helped like set up the microphone and shit because like they couldn't figure it out. We'll see. I don't know if they release who got in. Like it's like the first 5 people. It's like 5 people each time, and it's like a 50-person mic. Maybe it's 3 people. I don't remember. So like you have a 1 in 5 chance. Nope, that's not how math works. You have a 1 in 10 chance. So like that's a 10% chance. And I mean, I like me with a 10% chance is me with like a 70% chance. That's how I see it. Especially in one of those things, like, this isn't me bragging, this is somebody else. When I was leaving, somebody's like, I was surprised to see you here because, like, I figured you would be, like, getting booked through them already anyways. And I was like, well, I'm not booked through them yet, so, like, I'm here because you gotta take all the shots you can. And it was, like, in the north side, so, like, on the north side, so I could, like, just go there. It was 20 minutes from my apartment, get a nice walk-in, on a gorgeous March night in Chicago. But yeah, so I think my set went fine. I don't know if I got in yet or not. Like I got some good pops up front. I did like some older shit, like my Creed joke and like the Live, Laugh, Love joke. And it was one of those like, I would have much rather have done new stuff that I think is just as good as that. Like that's what I found out last night. Whether I get into the thing or not almost doesn't matter because I learned like my new stuff I believe in just as much as that stuff. Like that's like old reliable. I know it's gonna get laughs, but I also know that like my heart's not in it. So I feel like the stuff that I'm working on now and like playing with now, while isn't like specifically like real tight yet, I think is just as good and will be better than like my older best stuff. So that was super cool. Hopefully I get that. That would be nice. But if not, it's like you're judging somebody's 3 minutes to see if they're worth booking for like a real spot. So like that's kind of wonky, but that's just how auditions go. Like I'm not saying it as like a shitty way. I understand how how my voice sounds half the time, and how I shit on so many things. But like this is just like a good idea. But it's like, and I was talking to Jerry, the guy who runs it, and I was sitting at Monsignor Murphy's at TBD, and like sat down and like I hate running my credit card for just like one drink. So I just like I knew that he did comedy, so I was like, hey, let me buy you a drink, and I was like, oh yeah, you're like the, and whatever. If I was better at networking, I would have like leveraged it into something. But I was talking to him about it because he's like, have you heard of it? What do you think? And I was like, I honestly think like, hey. Like, if people think that this is going to be their break, that's the only time I have problems with shit like this, is when it's like, you can get famous from, like, knocking this out. It's like, no, you're just, like, auditioning. And, like, that way, like, a bunch of, like, shitheads come out from, like, the suburbs and are like, I'm gonna be famous in the city. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. But, like, he even said, he said that, I think I even talked about this, like, he said he wanted it to be, like, an open mic where you get stuff from, like, it's supposed to be. Kind of. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I went and did the one last night. It'd be super cool to do, because all of those clubs that are the ones doing it are clubs that I would like to perform at. But let's get a little silly here for a minute before we just like tank this whole rest of the thing. I got my tax return last week, and to celebrate, I paid some bills, and like obviously we gotta pay bills and whatnot. I bought myself some new work clothes, a new pair of jeans. I'm a darker jean guy now. It looks great on me. You know when you take a step, like when you've been like I've been like a medium light, medium dark. Like you know when you make toast and there's like that chart of like toast and it's like 1 through 10 and like the right answer is like a 5 or a 6 where like you can tell that it's brown but like it's still kind of got that crisp to it. but like it's not burnt. You don't scrape anything off. That's like kind of how I liked my jeans. Where now I'm kind of, the ones I got now are like a 6 or a 7. So it's a little bit darker, and they look good. So I bought those, and then I bought myself, they don't sponsor the podcast, but they sponsor a bunch of podcasts, so like, I don't know, maybe if I talk about it, they'll hear about it, but I bought myself a freeze pipe, and like the post office, it just has no idea where it's at, but this happened with my Old Navy box, and with the fucking freeze pipe. When I purchased the thing from, let's say the Old Navy one, because I have it, because I have no idea when my fucking freeze pipe's gonna get here. But like Old Navy, they said I would have it by the 12th, right? So then I order it, like let's say it's last Thursday, okay? I order it last Thursday. By Friday, it says it's going to be here Saturday. Cool, that's 2 days. That's much quicker than I thought it would be here. I thought it was gonna be here the 12th. Whatever day that was, Tuesday? Wednesday? Like I wasn't expecting it until then. And then it's like, then you get excited, you know? Like they get your hopes up. And then like Saturday comes and it's like, oh, it is in fucking Groveport, Illinois. And it's like, oh, that's the hub, that's cool. Like it might not make it today, but it'll be here tomorrow. It's like UPS or FedEx or whatever. And then it's like stuck in Groveport for 2 days. And then like it goes to like a different, like then it just gets like lost in the sauce. And then it's like, don't worry, it's still being delivered Monday. And then it's like Tuesday, and it's like your expected delivery is yesterday, and it's like, well, that's not helpful. Like, what's the point of the tracking numbers? I understand for them, like it works through their system, and that's how they keep track of logistics. And I understand for us, like it stops us from calling businesses 1,000 times and be like, yo, where the fuck is this? But I would much rather it be like, hey, your delivery date is by X, and then be like, give me a 24-hour notice. And like it actually is there. Like you should have to take pictures of it so like you can see it. Because like now it's like, oh, I waited. Like cause it got there on the day that I originally agreed that was fine. But then it was like, oh no, here you go. Like the freeze pipe isn't even supposed to be here, I think, until today or tomorrow originally. Because it was like 5 to 7 day business days. So like that's about now or tomorrow. And like now it was sent back and forth 4 times to like different facilities, and it's like, so now I'm just seeing this go around the US and like getting upset. Like it's I don't know. I feel like we don't need it. Like the Unabomber, he needed like tracking numbers. Like it would have been nice to know where it was at in the system, so you could like know when you needed to go hiding. Or now, like, yes, it's nice to know that it's going to be there so you can have somebody pick up your package so nobody steals it. But it would also be nice to live in an economic climate where people don't have to steal packages. I just figured we'd let that sit for a second. We're going to skip the next one because I want to give that another week. Just a preview for next week. There's a volcano in Alaska that is supposed to go off maybe in a couple of weeks. They're saying within a span of months at the longest. So like when I'm going to Alaska in 3 weeks, that's like super fun to hear. Because that's like right in that window. But we'll go over that story more next time because we've got 15 minutes till it's an hour, and I don't think it's going to be 15 minutes, but it could be. Oh yeah, since I'm going to Alaska, buy stickers if you want. Just Venmo me like $5 and I'll send you one. If you Venmo me $10, I'll send you 2. If you Venmo me $20, I'll send you 4. That's just kind of how the math works. If you don't want 4 and you just want to send me 20, you just put that in the notes of the thing. Like, hey, don't even want a sticker, just here's some money. Or buy the t-shirt. Shout out to everybody who's done that. Thanks to Mike McChesney, Nick Emeka bought a shirt, I know Harrison bought some stickers, Marie Chirico just was like the only person on Patreon for like a long time paying for nothing, so she deserves a shout out all the time. But no, we'll do the wee woo, wah 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 wah, Hitler watch. If you can tell, I don't get like super, like I'm just getting more beat down on these. I mean, obviously I'm ready to set a Tesla on fire, but like, it's just like, here's the point that I've wanted to make online all week of like, you know how people are like, and like the fucking Germans just watched it happen. And it's also like, hey man, maybe like the Germans couldn't take down the fucking government? Like, I don't know, it'd be nice to live in the world. I understand that the French did it that one time or a couple of times, and it's happened before. But like, to get organized enough to like, and the Germans tried to take down Hitler. Like even like members of like his fucking guard or whatever were trying to kill him. Like that's what that movie Valkyrie's about. So like I don't know, but like what are we like other than setting cars on fire? Like they're just like they're deporting or trying to deport this guy who from my Jewish friends said he was an asshole to like to Jewish people on Columbia's campus and like made it unsafe and did a lot of threats. Fine. Maybe don't do that overall. Okay, can we be on the same page with that? But can we all and like quit bending over backwards to be like, yeah, but like I still need to make my point. Like there's a story that they're trying to make sure women with different textured hairs and hairstyles are allowed to wear their hair how they want to in Congress. And it's like, guys, we tried to fucking do this for 12 years now, almost. I don't care what hairstyle you have. Nobody does. They're kidnapping protesters, basically. Like, ICE arrested this guy. Khalil Mahmoud or Mahmoud Khalil, whatever his name is. They just like ICE came and arrested him. He's got a green card. He's a fucking permanent resident. Is married to an American, and ICE just came and fucking snatched him. And like in that same week, we have a story about people's fucking hair texture in Congress of all places. So like when they're doing shit like that, what are you supposed to do? Like, we can't lean on our fucking representatives and government. Chuck Schumer's gonna vote for, like, the spending bill that's supposed to go through today to help the Republicans. Like, they don't give a fuck about us. And, like, it's hard. Like, people are scared. And, like, with the way that the economy is, people are afraid to, like, go protest because then they could lose their job and get fucking snatched by the government. Now, like, I'm not, like, cool. I'm fine for that. If anybody has like a calendar, like I guess I would have loved to have gone protest, wow, sounded like my fucking aunt, white trash Toledo shit. I would have loved to have gone and fucking protested the Tesla dealership that they did last weekend, but I didn't know about it, so maybe I'm not on like the right Reddit threads or whatever, or like getting rid of social media is taking me out of the fucking revolution, but like, wouldn't that be a bitch to like be like, hey, fuck social media as like a moral political stance, and like you just miss out on like the whole revolution, and then they're like, where were you? And you're like, well, I was at home waiting for a text message. I don't have that app on my phone anymore. All right, but yeah, like unless you're with them, like how are you supposed to organize? Like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, who knows how long that's even, like, what's even going on with that? I don't have that on my, but, like, they're suppressing voices, and, like, they're using AI bots to scam for, like, pro-Palestinian accounts and shut them down, so, like, we can't even really use that, so it's, like, how are we supposed to fucking get to organize against that? Like, what do you want us to do? Like, we tried to vote, 15 million votes disappeared. We voted for fucking Joe Biden, and then we voted for goddamn Kamala, and like, what did that get us? Like, you wanted us to vote for fucking Hillary Clinton, who is like maybe the least electable person since Kamala Harris. Like, you know, so it's like, what are we doing here? What am I supposed to do? I've voted. I've given money to the right places. I've knocked on doors. Like, what do you want us? They're snatching people, man. And then that's like, and the other thing that they're like doing, and they call it like, so like they're just taking an axe to every federal department. Another thing that they did, because like there are some things to be excited about loosely. So like we're not gonna get too excited, but I do want to end on a positive note. So before we go back through on that, things that are it's gonna connect. They also got rid of like the school lunch funding program for poor children. So kids who can't afford to eat at school, they will get like my girlfriend's school. The kids get sent from the USDA or from like somewhere. I think it's the USDA, one of those. FDA, like one, I think it's USDA. They get sent, which is already a scam, kind of like that's why there's like milk and or like milk and everything in there because the United States owns like a crazy amount of dairy, and I think I might have covered it on here. It was an insane story that I saw, but like that's the reason why like milks and everything is because the government has it set up where they have to buy all of the milk if it doesn't sell. So like that's why like they get sent school lunches and like it'll be like a milk carton and like an orange or like a fucking granola bar or some sort of like Pepperidge Farm shit. That's not good for you, but like it's free, so you have to eat it. They're getting rid of that. All in the same week as they're like snatching people from their house. So like it's getting real crazy out there. But there is some things to look back at. Like I said, like they're cutting from all of like the federal places. Two judges have deemed it illegal how they just fired everybody. So like I think it's like 10,000 federal workers, or it's at least 1,000, thousands of federal workers are being ordered to return back to work by this judge because they found that they couldn't, like they're saying that it's illegal how Trump's firing all these people. I mean, it's Elon Musk doing it, but like Trump's the one signing off on it. So they're saying that that's illegal. Which like the line I heard last time, I think from Lindsey Graham was like, we'll just do it legally next time. Like, fuck off. We're going to do it and Chuck Schumer's going to help us. And so I don't know, like, so a judge is doing that, like making people go back to work. So like we'll see how that works. Like this is right now, it looks like this is why we have separation of powers. And it'd be very cool for like the United States government to like actually work to stop like a despotic leader. Now, could he just like pack the courts and then kind of like how Eisenhower, FDR, Roosevelt, wow, like I was like, yeah, Eisenhower, FDR, you know, Franklin Delano Eisenhower. But FDR, when he wanted to do the New Deal and like pass all of this shit, the Supreme Court's like, we'll just say that it's not constitutional. So he's like, all right, fuck it. We're gonna go from like whatever, I think it was like 7 justices to like 11 or 5 to 9. Like he like added enough to like make it. I think there's 9 Supreme Court justices currently. I think the rumor was they were gonna add 2. But they they packed the courts. Now he can do that and push through everything. Which then like basically like that's the fatal flaw in the system is like you can do that. So like if you control 2, you can basically control a third easily. Like the Democrats would never, even just to pass healthcare, they would never take advantage of having a fucking control over the House and Senate and the presidency, let alone take advantage of it. They would never use it to even help us afford healthcare and food and not bail out multi-trillion-dollar companies at this point. But like, hey, they were doing the best they can, hope and change and whatnot. But yeah, so like the judges are pushing back because there's another one in the Supreme Court. They are hearing because Trump's trying to end birthright citizenship. So like if you're born here, like let's say you have 2 immigrant parents and you're born here, you are a citizen because you were born in the U.S. And like they want to get rid of that for people now because like people will come over and then like they'll have a kid and then they'll stay there because they need to have like somebody to take care of the child. So they'll like I forget what the word is, sanctuary or something. I know like Chicago's a sanctuary city. It's something where like the anchor, they call them like anchor babies, basically, where like the kid's born here, so like they're not gonna break up the family. So basically they're just trying to get rid of birthright citizenship, which is like the only reason why any of us who are like naturalized citizens of the United States, the only reason why we have citizenship Unless they're gonna keep it with like 2 citizens making a child, or 1 citizen automatically their child's a citizen, something like that. But like still, the only reason that we basically have it now is birthright citizenship. So like everybody who's a citizen now is basically through birthright or because their parents are citizens. So like if they just get rid of birthright citizenship, which is like set up 127 years ago and has never been fucked with since, and has been shot down by like I think it was 3 different appellate courts. I think it was at least 2, and then now it's going to the Supreme Court. So we'll see what happens. Like he's getting pushback on. No, of course, like things take time because he's like what he's doing and what they're trying to do is overwhelm the system. So like they get away with a bunch of shit, and it seems as if they're doing a good enough job keeping up currently. We'll see how that keeps, because it's fucking March. Like he hasn't even been in for 2 full months yet. It'll be 2 months next Friday. So we might have a new update on that. What's that? Is that right? Yeah, I think so. January 6th. No. Yeah, next Thursday. Whatever. Who gives a fuck? Like you're fact checking me. Which you might be, but I'm not paying attention. But I think that's it. But like, good. They're pushing back. They're trying to make shit happen, and it would be very nice if they continued to push back on him, and he just like ended up being like a Nixon or a Reagan versus Hitler. But I mean, we're also letting a slave-owning person from South Africa make all of these decisions, and like Trump's. I don't even know how this didn't make the list. He's selling Teslas out in front of the fucking White House, and like consumers are like fighting back against Tesla. Tesla's like fallen so much this year. I mean, so have all of the stocks, because nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and like you can't just like tariff your way into like being a power again. But like you can't also run a car dealership out of the White House, but apparently they can. So. They're doing shit like that, and so we'll see what happens. Like if they push back, like what if he's just like fuck the Supreme Court, we're just gonna do it anyways, or find the legal way to do it. Which that's still a project I need to look at. Is like how many governors are Republican, because if you have 2/3 of the governors, you can make a constitutional change or some shit like that. So like that's super important, but. Whatever. We're coming up on an hour. I'm running out of gas on this. RayRobertsComedy.com, at RayRobertsComedy on everything. If you made it this far, just post, just write cough in the comments. But thanks guys. Thanks for being here. Love you. Bye.